Okay. Very good morning, guys. Yeah. These are actually, yeah, we've just been talking about this in the last class. We just added some buttons. We designed the UI, right? Uh, with Oracle, we faced a problem. Windows tools. Yeah. So you can see now the connection is successful. Actually, wrong password. Wrong password. Invalid username password. Yeah. Just fix the error. It's connecting. Now Oracle is also connecting. Okay, we already saw Oracle connecting, SQL connecting, all these things. Now we want to test them programmatically from our applications now. We want to test them programmatically in our applications. Okay, so how do I do that from my code? Okay, this is a form what we created. Let's start with connect with SQL Server using ODBC driver. So I want to connect to SQL Server using ODBC driver. And remember, when you're using ODBC driver, I said you need one and only one attribute. What is the attribute? DSN. And the DSN, you're required to specify the DSN name. You already created the DSN. What is the name? SQL DSN. The DSN name is SQL DSN. We just already created the DSN in our code. The name is SQL DSN. For Oracle, Oracle DSN. For Excel, Excel DSN. Remove. Okay, just a minute here. Finish SQL DSN connects with Microsoft SQL Server database. Server name, server, and Windows authentication. And here I said you choose your database. Right now we did not create any database here. Right now we did not create any database. So by default it is targeting to which database? Master. Leave it. Don't change. When you create a database, you can change your own database. Next. Finish. Test. Attempting connections. Everything is completed. Okay, now all the three I'm creating, recreating again. Watch. Just now I created SQL. Next. Let's create Oracle. So click on add button and choose your driver. Choose your driver. Actually, this driver is provided by Oracle Corporation. When you install Oracle on your machine, the Oracle install the driver also on your machine. Is that clear? When you install Oracle on your machine, it also installs you the required driver on your machine. So the driver is installed for you by Oracle Corporation. Oracle Corporation has installed the required driver also. Click finish. Now, Oracle DSN description connects with Oracle database. Connects with the Oracle database. Service name. What did I say? Server. User ID. Here just give Scott and Tiger. Click test connection. Success. Same way you can create with Excel also. Add. Choose your Excel. Yeah, this is Excel. Microsoft Excel driver. Click on finish. Excel DSN description. Connects with Microsoft Excel. Excel file. It's a file, not a database. And when you come to file, see here, it's taking 12.0. Did you notice it? Excel 12.0. I said you, in the provider also I said you, Microsoft.z.OLEDB.4.0 and Microsoft.z.OLEDB.12.0. 12.4 for 64-bit and 4.0 for 32-bit. Mine is 64-bit. So that's why here also it's taking is Excel 12.0. Okay. And now it's a database of file. For a database, you tell server name, user ID, password and all. For a file, you're required to tell the file path. You're required to tell the file path. So how to tell? Select workbook and select the file on your machine. Actually, on my system E drive, I have a folder called as Excel docs and there I have a file called as school.xls. Click OK and click OK. Done. All the 3 DSNs are created. Now let us test them. Let's test all these options now. Come on, come to your application. Let's start with what? SQL Server using ODBC driver. Let's start with SQL Server using ODBC driver. Just a minute here. Here it is Oracle. Just let me change that. Connect with Oracle. 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 Okay. So all three options are clear. For SQL, 3 options are there. For Oracle, 3 options are there. But for Excel, we have only 2 options. What are the 2? ODBC, OLEDB. We don't have a framework provider for Excel. Okay. Come on. Let's start with the first button. So I want to connect by using ODBC driver. So which connection class should I use? 4 connections are there now. Which connection class? Speak louder. Which connection class means a data source, brainless fellows? Which connection class here? Are you reading the notes? 4 connection classes are there now. Which connection class? Tell that ODBC connection class. So ODBC connection class. Then you require to import the namespace system.data.odbc because all the ODBC classes are present in system.data.odbc. All the OLEDB classes are in system.data.oldb. All SQL server classes are present in system.data.SQL server. And all Oracle classes are present in system.data.Oracle. So you need to import the namespace now. Which one? System.data.odbc. Now, what you'll do, create the instance of the class. Which class? ODBC connection. Con is equals to new ODBC connection. And here you're required to specify one and only one attribute. What is the attribute name? Is equals to the name of your DSN. What is the DSN name? SQL DSN. Okay, now con dot open. This will open the connection now. This will open the connection now. I want to check out the state of the connection. I want to check whether this open or not. So message box dot show. Okay. Connection state. Connection state. What is that? Con dot. Yesterday I said, you remember? Open method, state property, close method, connection string property. I said all these things. This will tell you the state. With open, the message will show as open. If closed, the message will show as closed. Okay. Same way now I'm calling con dot. Close again. And again trying to propagate the message. Now understand, first time you should get the output as open. Second time you should get the output as closed. Clear? Run. Click on the button. Just click on the button. When you click on the button, observe. Connection state is open. Closed. Why? Array, we closed it now. It is telling you it is closed. Is it clear? Suppose now, what is the second button? OLEDB. Means which connection class should I use now? OLEDB connection. Then I should import system dot data dot OLEDB. See, this process will be same every day. First, today I am showing all, but in the going forward, we'll use only one, either ODBC or OLEDB or SQL client or Oracle client. So based on that, first I will import the namespace and then I will start consuming the classes present in that namespace. Okay. So fine. Now what? SQL, I'm sorry, OLEDB connection. OLEDB connection con is equals to new OLEDB connection. Now here you're required to write the connection string. Do you remember the attributes? First attribute, provider. What is the provider? MSDA, oh sorry, SQL, OLEDB. Second attribute, louder, yeah. Data source, data source. What is the data source name? Server. Next, data base. What is the database you want to connect? Right now we don't have any database, so let's connect to master. Next, user ID, SA, password 123. See, the order of the attributes is not important at all. The order of the attributes is not important at all. And second thing is, when you're typing, be careful. Data source are two separate words. Data source, separate the space now. Okay. And when you're typing, don't add extra spaces all the places. Already there is a separator. Semicolon is a separator. Because there is a semicolon separator, again, don't try to add spaces like this. Are you following me or not? Don't add any extra spaces there. Already we have a separator now. Semicolon is a separator now. So just watch it carefully. First parameter, provider, it's a single word. Data source, two separate words, space is there. Database, single word. User ID, two separate words. User ID. Password, it's a single word. Okay, now? Next, con dot open. Again, same here. I can write this 4 lines code as is now. Run and watch. Open, closed. Finally, framework provider. Framework provider means which connection class, guys? SQL connection. Which namespace? System dot data dot, not SQL client. SQL client, Oracle client are the namespaces. ODBC, OLEDB, SQL client, Oracle client. Don't forget here. Okay. Now, SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection. You're required to provide. What did I say? All attributes are same. Only one attribute is not required there. What is that? Provider. But remaining all attributes are same. Come on, what are those? Data source, database, user ID, password. So guys, all of you remember, all attributes are same. Only provider attribute is not required. Okay, rest, I can copy the same 4 lines again and paste here. Run, watch. You noticed it? This is faster. You got the response faster than the previous two. This is faster and efficient. Some milliseconds only, but still it's faster and efficient. Are you clear? Okay, one more thing I'll show you. Right now I'm using which authentication? SQL authentication. Same way you can use Windows authentication. If it is Windows authentication, what did I say? Don't use already password. In the place of it, right? Integrated security. Okay, I'll show you that also. Okay, so you can observe all of you. I am removing the user ID password. comment this. Integrated security is equals to SSPI. This works here. If it doesn't work, change that as true. Are you clear? So let me change the second one also. Then at a time we can test both. My system runs in a mixed mode here. My system runs in mixed mode. That's why both will work for me. I don't know how did you install. You installed in only Windows authentication, mixed mode. If you installed only in Windows authentication, you should use integrated security is equals to SSPI. Doesn't matter, yeah, this doesn't matter for you. Use anything you want. It is not like I'm using SQL. You also should SQL. No need. You can use Windows authentication also. Just only thing is, wherever I read user ID password, you change to integrated security is equals to SSPI. That's it. Yeah, open, closed. This one. Did you notice it? Faster or not? This is just faster and efficient. That's going to be faster. Are you clear? Understood? I'll show you one more thing also. What's it? Actually, you can create a connection class object like this, remember? Default constructor. If it's a default constructor, how can you pass the connection string? Con dot connection string is equals to, and here you can write the connection string, guys. Are you clearer or not? This is another way of writing. Okay. You can write. So right now, what is it? You already password. I'm just commenting this. I'm changing it as integrated security is equals to SSPI. Anything you use here, but I'm just telling you, is another way to write the code. So without passing it directly, if you feel it is lengthy, you can use a separate statement and write it. Con dot connection string is equals to. Is it clearer or not? Here also I'm changing it. Not mandatory, just only I'm telling you this option is also available to you. That's it. It works as it is. Run and see. No difference. Open, closed. Is it clear? Yes or not? Okay, so I'm able to connect with both SQL as well as, with SQL using all the three options. What are three? ODBC, OLDB, framework. ODBC driver, OLDB provider, framework provider. Three options I provide you. But going forward, I will be using only OLDB provider in the code. Am I clear? Going forward, I'll be using only OLDB provider in the code. OLDB provider only I'll be using in the code. I won't use ODBC or you. Just now you watched it, the speed difference in the performance also. Option is there. So best we'll go with using the framework provider. Now let us come to Excel. Guys, you already imported ODBC namespace. So no need again. Directly ODBC connection con is equals to new ODBC connection and right here. What? DSN is equals to, what is the DSN name? Excel DSN. DSN name is equals to Excel DSN. It's not case sensitive here, no problem. It's not case sensitive. You can write in any case. What next? Same two lines of code. Run and see. File corrupted. Architecture mismatch. Uh, Excel 97 2000. Driver and application, there's a mismatch. Excel. Yeah, it's 32-bit. It's not in 64-bit. Actually, I created in the 64-bit. That is the error. That's all. Because I said you my system is on 64-bit, but Office is on 32-bit. That's what it's telling you. Architecture mismatch is present between the application and the driver. So application is in 32-bit, but my driver is 64-bit. What I changed is that only. Now, if you just notice it, I changed that only. You see, I change it to 32-bit because my application is also 32-bit only and this also 32-bit. That's what. Yes, that when you are 64, there's a bit confusion you'll be facing. So try first in 32-bit. If it doesn't work, go to 64. Or try in 64, come to 32. That's what I done. That's all. What next? OLEDB. OLEDB connection con is equals to new OLEDB connection. Con dot connection string is equals to. What are the attributes? Provider equals to Microsoft dot jet dot. Let us see, guys. 4.0. Let us see. I don't know whether which one will work. Architecture, I cannot help that. Microsoft dot jet dot z dot OLEDB dot 4.0. Semicolon. Data source is equals to. Remember, I already explained when you're giving the path, you're required to use the double slash. So where is it? E drive, Excel docs, school dot, XLS. And one more attribute I said you, especially for Excel only. What is that? Extended properties is equals to Excel and the version of the Excel you're using. So 8.0 is what I used, is the last version of XLS. Afterwards, we have XLSX. Now your Word and all extensions are not docx. Have you noticed it? And also Excel also, it's not XLS, it is Excel SX. Mine is old one. That's why I'm using Excel 8.0. And Excel 8.0 is the last version for XLS. So that's why I just used it. With the XLSX, you're required to just specify the version of your Excel, what is installed. Means your Office version, what is installed. You're required to Google it and you're required to provide it. Okay. So that's what I'm just using it there. Fine. Remaining all code is same. Let's see if it connects or not. Otherwise, we need to change the driver name to 12.0. Worked. Is that clear? Okay. So you're able to connect with OLEDB also. ODBC working? OLEDB. Now let's test with Oracle. First, ODBC. Help me, please. Now you tell me. ODBC. First one is ODBC. ODBC connection con is equals to new ODBC connection. DSN is equals to Oracle DSN. Next. Again, architecture mismatch. Is it installed with 32? No. It's installed in 64 only. Problem is not with that. Actually, my Oracle is running only in the 64-bit architecture, but my application is running in 32-bit architecture. So we can change that actually. In your project property window, you'll be finding a build option. So here you'll be having a target platform. There you can just go for choosing that option. Is that clear? Otherwise, by default, it will be preferring you what? 32. Otherwise, it will be running in the 32-bit. You can just change to the appropriate one what you want. I'm changing to 64 and using it. Just to connect with Oracle. Oracle is unnecessary for you. Just to prove you, it will connect with anything I'm showing you. We are not going to practice anything with Oracle. All we are going to learn is SQL Server. You work with SQL Server, that's enough for you. Just to prove you can connect with anything, I'm showing it, that's all. Is it clear? If this is the case, just a minute. We can try this also. What? Hold on. Excel, remove. Add. Excel. Connects with Microsoft Excel file. Shit. That's only the problem. Excel also is connecting in 64 here. You see, Excel is also 64 only now. My application active SQL Server connected because SQL Server configured to work on 3264 also. SQL Server configured to connect on 3264 also. But when you come to Oracle, Oracle is purely 64 on my machine. So that varies. That should be careful when you're developing the application. These are the real challenges in the application development. Till now you're only thinking about the code. Not code here. Settings are also very, very important for our application. Okay. So right now my application is running on 32-bit and I changed it to 64-bit. It changed it to 64-bit. You can go to project properties. How you open this window is right click on the project. You'll find properties. And here you'll be finding a build. And here you can specify platform target. That is 64. Okay, whatever it is. Next, Oracle. OLEDB. How to write with OLEDB? OLEDB connection con equals to new. Data source equals to server. User ID, Scott. Password, Tiger. Provider is equals to Aura OLEDB dot Oracle. Aura OLEDB dot Oracle. Semicolon missing. Yeah. Is that clear? Finally, what is the class I should use now? Which connection? Oracle connection. It is Oracle connection. Which namespace? Oracle client. Okay, so come here. You just see using system.data. All of you observe it. Oracle client is not in the list. ODBC is there. OLEDB is there. SQL client is there. All are there. Oracle client is not. Why? I already explained, you remember, these are two separate assemblies. One is system.data.dll. Second one is system.data.oracle client.dll. Yes or not? Okay, there's a separate namespace. Sorry, separate assembly. But why is it not coming here? The reason is, if at all you want to consume an assembly, you're required to add a reference to the assembly. Do you remember that? Yes or not? So you all of you observe, by default, if you go to the project and look in the references node, you see there is a reference already added for system.data. That's why I'm able to consume. But there is no reference available for system.data.oracle client. See there. Understood my point? That's not a Microsoft product. Always given least preference to it. It's not given. You want it? Add it then. How? References, add reference, and now under the framework assembly, it's not browser, it's a framework built-in assembly. So under the assembly section, you should find it system.data.oracle client. Can you see that? Select. Click on OK. And now you can try using system.data.oracle client. Is that clearer or not? System.data.oracle client in this context now. Okay. And now you see Oracle connection con is equals to new Oracle connection con dot connection string equals to data source equals to server, user ID is equals to Scott, password is equals to Tiger. Copy and paste. Sorry, not this. Is that clear? So see now, first SQL. It is running on 3264. OLDB, with OLDB. With SQL client. Notice that is very fast and efficient. Oracle. ODBC. OLDB. Oracle client. Framework. ODBC. This is not working again. Reason is, again the same. 12.2. Because I changed it now. I changed it again back. So it is 12.2. Still? Oh, it's not registered. Shit. It's not registered on your machines. It says. Okay, leave it here. I'm not going to. Because I said these are all I shown you as an examples to you. Only to just verify how they work. But all our examples will be on SQL. And SQL is connecting or working without any problem for you on 32 or 64-bit. So you don't require to bother about the rest of the things. Just the other things are only to prove you can connect with anything. Not registered. Again, it is changing to change. Okay, leave it. Leave that. That's an architecture mismatch here. So the provider is not registered this version. It's telling the Office component should be installed manually on that machine actually for the latest version. Oh, just a minute. It is not, I think it is. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Not jet dot, it is ace dot. It's not z dot, it is ace dot. Okay, Microsoft dot ace dot OLED provider. Just a minute. I'll update the notes. So you can see it is z dot ace dot. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, fine. So are you clear about establishing a connection, all of you? Understood? I shown you how to establish the connection for you for all the appropriate things. How to establish a connection with how to establish a connection with Oracle, how to establish a connection with SQL Server, and how to establish the connection with what is the other one? All the three options: Oracle, SQL Server, as well as SQL Client, as well as SQL Client. How to establish your connection with all the three? I just demonstrated for you in this case. Okay, now. Data OLDB, SQL Client. Something is missing. Relation. Yeah. The first step, create a new application here, create a form like this. Second step, you just required to create the DSNs. All the three DSNs should be created. And here I given you the process of creating the DSN. And remember, if you're working with, if you're just working with your sorry, if you're just working with Windows 10 or something, last line, don't talk here. Last line, don't talk, I'm telling you. Okay, so if you remember, I was just explaining about this one. If you're working with Windows 10, you'll be finding administrator tools. If you are Windows 11, what I said you? You'll be finding Windows tools. Be careful. Okay, in the control panel, either administrator tools or Windows tools are the option what you just have. So just go there, ODBC driver. We need to configure them first. Control panel, administrator tools, or just check what you have. I'm not sure. Double click on the ODBC data sources to open and just create the DSNs. First one, SQL DSN. Second one, what I created is Aura DSN for Oracle. And third one is Excel DSN for Excel. All the 3 DSNs. Okay. And then this is your code. You import all the 4 namespaces. And then you're writing the code for every button. Okay. Fine. This is all what I just already explained you how to write all these things. Fine. Now, listen. The second step is we completed our first step. What is the first step? Establishing a connection. The first step is establishing a connection. We are just done with the concept like how to establish the connection. Second, what is the second thing? Second thing is executing the statements. The second step is to execute the statements or sending a request to the data source using SQL. Sending a request to the data source using SQL. So you're sending a request to the data source using SQL now. And how are we going to send that request to the data source using SQL? Okay. So listen carefully. How do you send a request to the data source using SQL? So what do you mean by sending a request to the data source? In this process, we will either be sending SQL statements to the database for execution. Listen, we will be either sending SQL statements to the database for execution, or we will either be calling stored procedures. You're learning stored procedures in SQL Server? Yes or no? Still did not start it, huh? Okay, you will be coming across the concept. What is going on now? Speak louder here. How many times I should tell you? What commands? Constraints. Cursors. Okay, cursors. If you are teaching cursors, the next topic is stored process only. The next topic will be stored process. So you'll be taught with the stored procedures. So basically, you can write SQL statements in the application and send them to database. Second option, you can also go for calling stored procedures also. Means all the SQL statement see till now, you're writing all the SQL statements directly in the command window. In SQL Server Management Studio, you'll open a query window and write the queries now. If you write a query, you want to execute tomorrow again you should write again now. Yes or not? You have some 10 queries. Every day you need to type them. Without that, we are going to put them under stored procedures actually. Without that, we'll be putting all of them under stored procedures. After putting all of them under the stored procedures, next time onwards, you can directly call the process. You don't need to type the command again now. You're writing a complex query to fetch the data from 10 tables. Lengthy statements using inner joins, outer joins, left outer, right outer, different joins you have used and written. One day you write the query, execute, you got the output. Close the window. Immediately, you lost it. Tomorrow you want to get again you need to type now. Without that, what we'll do? We'll create procedures and we'll write all the statements in the procedures. So procedures will be saved on the database. Next day, you can directly call the procedure now. If you call the procedure, the statements will execute and the result will be propagated to you automatically. Is that clear? So 2 things what we can do. One, we can either go for writing SQL statements in our application. Second option, we can either write the stored procedures also. We can either call the stored procedures. So in our third step, what exactly are we going to do? In the third step, what exactly are we going to do is, we will be either calling the stored procedures for execution. We will either call the stored procedures for execution, or we will write SQL statements and send to the database for execution. 2 options here. One is write SQL statements, send them to the database. Second option, call stored procedures. Anything, you can just perform it. Calling of the stored procedures. Whatever it is, you're going to do any of the 2 things basically. Clear? Okay. So how to do that? And if at all you want to do that, you're required to take the help of a class. Which class? The class is command. So till now we learnt about one class. Which class? Connection. So the next class what we have in our pipeline is going to be the command class. The command is the class what we just required to use now. Am I clear what I said? The command is the class what we just required to use now. Command class. Okay. And how to work with the command class is what we need to learn. See, I explained you how to work with the connection class now. Constructors of the class, properties of the class, methods of the class. Yes or not? Same as that, you're required to now learn about this class also. Which class? Command. What are the constructors of the command? What are the properties of the command? What are the methods of the command? All these three things are what we just need to understand now. All the three things. What again? Constructors, properties, and methods. Constructors, properties, and the methods. All these three things we just require to understand now in our code. Okay. So let me teach you now the second thing. What's it? Working with which class? Command class. Working with command class. Yesterday we learned about working with connection class. And today we are going to learn working with the command class here. Okay. So let me teach you how to work with the command class now. Okay. Again, same story, guys. What's it? First, we need to understand about the constructors of the class. Next, we need to understand about the methods of the class. And then you need to understand about the properties of the class. Okay. Let me clarify. First, constructors. Two constructors are there here. Yeah. We learned about all these things yesterday. Open, close, everything. Yeah. Sending a request to data source by using SQL. In this process, we will send a request to the data source specifying the action we want to perform. Remember 4 actions: select, insert, update, delete. We either write a SQL statement telling what you want, either a select statement or an insert statement or an update or a delete statement in a form of SQL statement. Second option, or by calling stop procedure. And to do that, we need to take the help of a class. Which class? Command. Command class. Okay. Now again, working with command class. How to work? 2 constructors, guys. First one, default constructor. Second one, takes 2 parameters. What are the 2 parameters? Command text, string command text, connection. What is command text? Command text is nothing but your SQL statement or procedure name. Command text is nothing but select or insert or update, delete or procedure name. Read. Command text means okay. Second parameter, connection. What is connection? You know, in the first step, you created a connection object now that should be passed here. Why? The connection and the command should be linked with each other, guys. The connection and command should be linked with each other. How do you link? By passing the connection object to the command constructor. Read the second. Instance of the connection class we have created in our first step. Next, properties. See the properties? Same only now. What is that? Array, if you use a default constructor, you need to pass these 2 informations as properties. I explained in the previous one. One option, connection con is equals to new connection and pass the connection string. Second option, connection con is equals to new connection default constructor. And the next line you write con dot connection string is equals to and pass the connection string. Is it clear? So these are the 2 options what we just have. Here also If you use a default constructor, use these two properties and pass the command text and connection. We have one more property. What is the property? Command type. What is command type? I'll tell you. I'll tell you about the command type. Just a minute. Read this, all of you. If I use default constructor, what I'm doing? I'm using the command text property. I'm using the connection property and passing the information. Second option, parameterized constructor. Directly pass the values to constructor parameters. Is it clear? Listen. Command class can execute SQL statements or can call stored procedures also. I repeat, command class can execute SQL statements or call stored procedures. Both are possible. SQL statements can be executed. Stored procedures also can be called. Are you clearer or not? So both are possible. That also possible. This also possible. But what is the default? By default, it is configured for executing SQL statements only. By default, it is configured to execute SQL statements only. But what is our requirement? I want to call a stored procedure. I'll show you both. First SQL statements, afterwards stored. Initially SQL statements, no problem. But when we want to call stored procedure, problem is there. So to resolve the problem, guys, listen. Read the note. Now we use the third property. What is the third property? Command type. You're required to set the command type like this. How? cmd.command type is equals to command type dot stored procedure. We're required to set the command type as stored procedure. Are you clear with constructors and properties? Two constructors, three properties. What next? Methods. The third one is methods of the command. What are the methods we have in the command class? There are three methods here. Connection has two methods, open, close. But here three methods are there. See the three methods. First method, execute. Second, third one. And what is the other thing what I'm showing you? Return type of the method. Execute reader. Return type is data reader. Means all these are value returning methods. Yesterday, open and close, I did not tell the return type. If I don't tell return type, what is the meaning? Void. The meaning is void, a non-value returning. But here these are value returning. So that's why I'm telling the return type. Execute reader returns a data reader. Execute scalar returns a object. Execute non-query returns a integer. These are the return types of the method. Is it clear? These are the return types of the appropriate method. Okay. So, read this note. Yesterday say creating a connection object will not establish a connection until and unless you call the method open. Now also creating a command object will not execute the statements until and unless you call any of the three execute methods. You need to call either execute reader or execute scalar or, but now starts the confusion. What confusion, you know? There we have a method called open close. Open is to open, close is to close. No confusion. But here, how many execute methods are there? Three. Sir, which method should I call when? Did you get my point or not? Which method? When should I call execute reader? When should I call execute scalar? When should I call execute non-query? Okay, I'll clarify you. First, you tell me, what statements are we planning to execute? Select, insert, update, delete. Okay. Now, when you write a select statement, what do you get from the database? When you write a select, what do you get from the database? the data of the table, we get the data of the table in the form of rows and columns. What we get? The data from the database in the form of rows and columns. We get this from the database. Am I right? Yes or not? This is what we are going to get. The data from the database in the form of rows and columns is what we get. Fine, good. We just get the data in the form of rows and columns. Fine. Now, listen carefully. What is that? You can write a select statement like select multiple columns and rows. Select star. You can even write a select statement to get a single value from the database also. What is that? Select max of. When I say select max of, how many values will come here? One only. Min of, sum of, average of, count of. All these are going to return you single values only. Yes or not? I want to go for a balance inquiry. How many values will I get? One only. So, a select statement not guaranteed every time it returns you rows and columns. Sometimes select statements can return you single value results also. Is it clear? Select statement not guarantee every time going to return you rows and columns, but they can return you single value. So what does the select statement return means? Either rows and columns of data or single value also. Is it clear? Okay, next. Insert, update, delete. When I insert, will I get any result from the database? If I insert, will I get any result? You executed insert statements in your SQL Management Studio. Na? Do you get any result back? No? Did you really learn SQL Server? And in the bottom, it will show you one row inserted. You're telling no. If you update, it will tell you how many rows are updated. If you delete, it will tell you number of rows deleted. If you insert, it will tell you how many rows are inserted. All these three will give you a result. What is the result? Number of rows affected. Is that clear? Insert, update, delete will return you a result. What is the result? Number of rows affected. How many rows are affected by the statement? Is it clear? Okay. Now, let me teach you when to call which method. When to call which method. Read the first one here. Read it. What are you fetching? Rows and columns. Means, can you hold it in a string variable? Huh? Array, rows and columns of data, can you hold in one string variable? Huh? You need something like a tabular format. This is the class, which is designed to hold you the data in a table format. So the rows and columns of data will come into the data reader, and that's your table now. You need to access the data from this data reader. Did you understand? The method returns an instance of class data reader, which holds the data that is retrieved from the data source in the form of rows and columns. So once the execution is completed, all your data will be in the data reader. Okay. Next. Do you remember this one? Single means scalar. I already said you in the starting classes. Scalar, complex. Scalar means one value. You are fetching one value from the database. Which type of value are you fetching? And I'm asking you a question here. You are fetching one value from the database. Which type of value are you fetching? God knows. Maybe an integer, maybe a string, maybe a double, maybe a... Sorry, let's talk in SQL database. Maybe an int, maybe a varchar, maybe money, maybe bit. We don't know. Yes or not? This it can fetch you any type of data na? Array, watch here. What is the data type here? And you know, object can hold anything in it now. Whatever comes now, object can hold now. Did you understand or not? So scalar, the method names are very, very clear to understand here. Scalar for single value select statements. The result will come for you as object, because that can be any type. Okay, next. What next? Insert, update, delete. Actually, you know that you're all learning SQL now. Query. Query means what comes under query? Which command? I'm asking which command comes under query. Select command, only select. Insert, update, delete are not queries. They are non-queries. Insert, update, delete. All these are non-query. Query means question here. Select is a questioning and getting the data. We are querying and getting the data. Insert is querying. Are you questioning it? No, you're asking it to insert it. Understood? Insert, update, delete. What do we call? Non-query. What do they return? 5 minutes back I said to you. What do they return? Number of rows affected. Means integer na? See the method name? Execute non-query. Return type. That integer is the number of rows affected. Read. Are you guys clear? So when to use execute reader? Don't look at that again. You read it already. When to use execute reader? For a will you speak louder or shall I stop the class? You're sitting somewhere there, you're whispering, and how can I listen? Shall I talk like that? I'll stop the mic and talk like that only. Will you hear? Speak louder. I'm just telling you, I'm getting angry because of you only. Speak louder. If I'm not there, you'll shout, na? Now you both of you are talking, shouting, and I could hear the voice from there. And when I ask you a question, you're whispering. Louder. When to use execute reader? What is that? Which statement? Select statement. Continue. Select statement. All select statements. Then tell me clearly. A select statement that retrieves data in the form of rows and columns. A select statement which is going to retrieve the data in the form of rows and columns. When should I call execute non-query? For insert, update, delete. Execute scalar. Single value select statement. Multi-value select statement, execute reader. Single value select statement, execute scalar. Non-query statements, execute non-query. Remember, understand, it's not today over. Throughout your course, you need to. Tomorrow when you go, you need to know which method you should use in which scenario. Is that clear? So the names are very simple and easy. Non-query. Simple, na? Non-query. Means for insert, update, delete. Scalar, one value. Reader, that is what? Multiple values. Am I clear? So these are the three methods what we just have. Okay. See, select query statements. Rows and columns, call execute reader. Single value, call execute scalar. Insert or update, delete. These are non-query statements. Number of rows affected is what you expect there. Call execute non-query. Okay. So yesterday I explained you there are 3 steps to perform every database operation. What is the first step? Establishing a connection. We learned. Second step, sending a request to the data source with an SQL statement. Third step, capturing the results. The third step is capturing the results. We need to capture the results. We need to capture the results. Okay. So now we need to capture the results. Okay. Now let's understand about the third step also. What is the third step? Capturing the, read that. What I explained is now capturing results only here. In the first case, what did I say? capture the result in a data reader. Second case, capture the result in a object. Third case, capture the result. What is that? Array, the method returns a data reader. So what will you do? You will declare a data reader variable and capture it now. You know that now method returns a string. What will you do? You will declare a string and capture. Now your method is returning a data reader. So what to do? Declare a data reader variable, capture. The method returns object. Returns a object variable and capture. The method returns a integer. Declare a integer variable and capture. Is it clear? So this is only our third step is. This is only our third step is actually. Okay. So fine. Now how to test these things now? Actually, guys, we did not create any database now in SQL Server. Did we? We did not create any database actually. So actually, we'll do that. The code here. This is with just a minute here. Just a minute, all of you. Come to the last. In the last of the ADO.NET, just before the collections topic starts, I've given you some statements for creating tables and all. Create table statements, insert statements. So what you'll do is just create one database and create all these tables as sample tables so that we'll start working with those tables. Is that clear? Okay, just create these tables as the sample tables there so that we can start working with all these tables. Okay, create one database and create all the tables. You know how to create a database now? And to create the tables, I given the code for you. Follow them and create the appropriate tables on your machine. Is that clear? Array, just you copy paste there, yeah, that will create you all the things. That's all. First, copy the create department table, insert statement. Create employee table, insert statement. Next, sal grade table, some set of insert statements. So create all these particular tables now. Once you create all these particular tables, we can start working up with those particular tables in the next class. Okay. So meanwhile, all of you do that. Database name also I given you. Database name is CSDB. Is that clear? Create a database with the name called CSDB, and in the database create all the tables and insert all the records. So tomorrow I'll show you how to work with, how to connect, fetch the data and display the data. How to connect, fetch and display the data. Is that clear? Let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow. అరే ఫ్యాన్ స్పీడ్ పెంచు బయట స్పీడ్ తగ్గించింది
Recording stopped.